This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, so welcome one and all to the Monday, May 19th. Sorry, John, I'm getting some feedback from you.
Why?
I don't know. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, starting again. Welcome to the Monday, May 19th, 2025 meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Paquette, the chair, here in attendance along with committee members Cassie Eckhoff and John Pepe. Connie Dawson may be joining us eventually, but just a small skeleton crew today. So we'll try to run through a couple things real quick. And I'm sorry, did you want us to acknowledge the other visitor in the room?
We have a visitor from the community.
That's sweet too. Not going to be speaking during public speak, I don't think. She may not even stay awake for public speak. So to get started here, motion potentially to review and approve the minutes from last month, April 28th, that were distributed. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
John, I think. There we go. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. No objections. We will approve and submit the minutes from the last meeting. We now have the public speak portion, but I do not see any members of the public here, either online or in person. So we will move on to the next bit. Couple quick committee updates. Updates from the Bees Committee. Not a ton. We have our next Bees Committee meeting later this week. The last meeting also talking about things, some public facing events, looking at cultural chaos, looking at doing some invasive removal, as well as some other pollinator friendly events and things that help with get the general public interested and engaged. There is the upcoming garden tour that I think
Very
mentioned last time a little bit, and I know Josh, who's not here, had some interest in that, but that's June 7th, I believe. So they'll be putting out that schedule. The city, I think that's Easthampton City Arts that's maybe taking the lead on that, but yeah, it'd be an opportunity to tour some gardens around town and sort of see some cool things. On the side of the Energy Advocate, I was not aware of this until Sophie updated me earlier, but apparently there was Energy Advocate hired on May 5th. I have an email address for that person, but I do not have a name exactly. So
This is the Northampton, Easthampton shared.
This is for the Community First Partnership, and I'll talk more. I'll give you more of the update on what Sophie told me when we get to that portion here in a minute. So yes, so excited that is in place now. And let's see. Yeah, so we'll learn more about them. I will invite them to the next meeting in June, certainly, to come introduce. We'll probably have opportunities to meet them before that as well, whether at Cultural Chaos or with the Eco Initiative group meeting. Potentially, they'll be coming to some of those. So that is the update there. Moving into the green communities and climate leader communities. And so on the heels of Easthampton being among the first cohorts of climate leader communities in Massachusetts, we were one of the first 19. So on May 2nd, they did a public announcement in Watertown with representatives from many, if not all, of the municipalities there to announce that new program. there was some news about it in certain places. I certainly tracked down a few of the places that, that had news stories about their towns. We haven't done anything here yet that I've seen. I could be wrong about that, but I hadn't seen anything. And so still trying to find out if there's a plan for us to do a press release or try to get it out into the local community, the Gazette or anywhere else in the near future. Certainly like to pump that up. Because one of the things that it does is allows us some grant opportunities. So these are available only to climate leader communities, and there's more information on the DOER website about these. But the first one is a decarbonization technical support grant, which can help municipality with planning around decarbonization programs or projects. And so that can be up to $150,000. And then there's a decarbonization accelerator grant, which can be up to $1 million. So that can obviously do a lot of work if you have something lined up. So that's the type of thing we can start looking at, start thinking about. Certainly, I hope Sophie will be looking at that, thinking about it in the mayor's office, thinking about what can we do as a municipality, the decarbonization front, what's in the climate action plan that goes with that, and that maybe is worth, trying to get a significant chunk of money to help push that forward and help get it on a fast path. So.
Could we even get school buses with that money?
Could we get school buses with that money? That's an interesting thought. I hadn't had that thought, but maybe. How much is the average electric school bus, John? About 400,000? Yeah, you're still muted, but you can just.
It wouldn't, it wouldn't go very far, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, my understanding of the climate leader community thing is that it's not just the opportunity to collect grant money from the state, but we also have to show progress on our roadmap, our decarbonization.
Yeah, I would imagine there's something along those lines to remain in good standing. And sorry, John, you've frozen on us a little bit here. But let's see if we can get it back at some point. Okay, well, I don't know if that's our side or yours, but yeah, that's definitely something we'll have to look at more, is like, the reporting requirements that are going to come along with that designation, as well as any progress things that we have to show. So again, worth mapping that out against the climate action plan for what priorities we want to have as a municipality for that. Just gotta wait for John to come back. I don't know if we're technically short a quorum while he's frozen.
That's a question for the ages.
It's an unforeseen glitch in the Massachusetts General Municipal Code here. All right, we're gonna give him a second to come back, because we're definitely not at a quorum with just two of us. No offense to you, Pesh.
She's being so good.
She is. Taking it all in.
Come back, John. Where's John?
All right, you're
Sorry.
back. So you were saying about the need for showing progress towards.
Yeah, I mean, we need to make good on our low emission vehicle plan, replacement plan. Right. We need to make good on moving forward on various energy efficiency and carbon reduction stuff that is referred to, I think, in the plan. There's obligations, and which someone needs to keep track of them. Hopefully Sophie will be keeping track of that along with us, but
I believe so. And certainly I reported one of the previous meetings on there. The mayor is already working through some fleet changes, right? And like bringing in more EVs for the municipal fleet. So that is one thing that, definitely has some traction already, but there's probably some other things that are just more theoretical or ideas right now that need, where this, like a technical support grant or an accelerator grant could do some good.
Yeah.
Whether it's, for planning a project or staff or consultants or whatever it might be.
I'd like to know more about it, but I've heard that there were some further discussions about possibilities on solar, and Sophie mentioned it the other day, solar on the city municipal building and the public safety building.
Yeah.
And maybe the climate leader communities could play into that.
Right.
The grants, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly could play into things like, charging infrastructure as well, potentially, maybe, or, yeah, I mean, there's lots of possibilities for what could be done. So I'm going to try to make a point for myself to at least like look through the climate action plan sort of action items as well and see if anything jumps out at me as like priorities. If anybody else wants to also do that, John, you're fairly familiar with it all, but yeah, there's things that we think, make sense right now to start with, like, be good to get things going on that front. What's that?
I'm happy to do kind of a review of that at some point, present back to the meeting what we're called to be moving on in various parts of the climate action plan, but particularly the roadmap, the decarbonization roadmap.
Yeah, I think maybe next meeting, like even us all going through some of that together, maybe doing a quick like priority ranking or something like that, it would be useful.
Yeah. Okay.
Like help get it all front of mind for us all as well. So good. Well, again, just an exciting opportunity that it opens up for us, that other municipalities will not have access to, at least for the time being. Then there's the 2024 Green Communities Annual Report. I think the fiscal year 2024 report, it's due Friday, November 15th. So still a little ways off from that. I think that still runs through end of June, right? Is like the fiscal year.
Yeah, I had a meeting with Sophie, spent a fair amount of time going through the Mass Energy Insights database and what we have to supply in there for our to satisfy the fall green community reporting.
Right.
So I think she'll be good on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then, the Green Communities competitive grants, I think I meant to change this to fall 2025 because certainly the spring deadline is passed. But that may get superseded by the decarbonization grants available to us at this point. But there is something else that's like green communities related. I mean, certainly we could go for both too, I think. No reason that we can't access both pots of money potentially. So, yeah.
Okay.
Great. We'll move on to the next bit. So the electrification and efficiency programs, Electrify Easthampton, Northampton. Again, there was that May 6th kickoff meeting with Northampton held. That was at their senior center. Did anyone from our group go to that we know of? I think Sophie did, but
I was there and Connie was there.
You were both there as well. Okay. Want to tell us?
Well, the interesting thing was that it wasn't really explained very well in the communications about it, the emails and posters or whatever flyers. It turns out that it was intended to be more of a general public information session for people who might be interested in taking advantage of mass save opportunities and the work that Revise Energy is going to be doing under the contract for home energy audits and heat pumps, etc. So it was a general meeting for the community, and Ben Wheel, who's the lead, the director in Northampton, and the one who's, this, Cassie, but was kind of playing seemed like a central role in reviewing the proposals all last fall and winter time from and negotiating with Revise he seemed like he was ready to cancel the meeting before we started because not many people showed up. It was all vendors, it was committee members, us, Sophie, the new energy advocate. That's the kind of people who showed up. Maybe couples out, 3 or 4 others. So he was ready to cancel it. And you know, I said, no, please, we want to know what this program is supposed to be like. But then we turns out it's nothing like we had last left it, say last fall or early winter or something, when they went to these negotiations. You know, the exploratory pilot aspect of it, and come back with data about how the concierge function that the vendor would provide would help increase the rate of adoption by low and moderate income people and landlords. All that sort of study kind of stuff seems to have dropped out of it, and somehow they're thinking the energy advocates now kind of going to replace the concierge function, sort of the that the consultant was going to do originally.
Okay.
So it's a big different picture. I think they're just still finalizing the contract, and you know, there was good energy there, and sounds like there's money and resources to go forward with reaching out to low and moderate income people. And I apologize for forgetting the energy advocate's name. I have it written down somewhere.
H. Davis is at Easthampton. H. Davis. So,
Yeah.
I don't know the first
Hannah, I
name.
think it might be Hannah.
Hannah, okay.
It might be Hannah, now that you mention that.
Okay.
So, I don't know what to say. I mean, Sophie hopefully gets more details working with Hannah about what we can expect from Revise. You know, they had originally in that grant proposal, the consultants talked about a number of them going door to door to dropping a flyer or knocking on every door in the city. And
They were supposed to do data mining too.
Yeah. And I don't know that that's still part of it. So,
okay.
You know, I feel like we should sit down, or have Sophie sit down, whatever, and then come back to us with Ben and the Northampton people and the state people, and explain really, you know, what the new structure is for that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly having the community first partnership come in after the fact, or even sort of, you know, before like contracts are finalized, definitely muddies the water a little bit, right? Because there's so much overlap between what those are trying to do.
Yeah.
Now the Electrify program, you know, is supposed to also have like extra incentive money, right? That's kind of the key piece there, is that some of that money is supposed to go to actually getting these projects done versus just introducing people. I mean, that's the key piece, right? Is to actually get some electrification done. The door-to-door and data mining and, you know, advocacy work is great, but really it is about actual, you know, actual watts of efficiency and electrification being done. So, you know, if we switch up the focus a little bit because of that, maybe that frees up some of their, you know, money to do more projects, right? Versus having to spend so much time on outreach. I mean, they're still gonna have to get people into that part of the program. So what does that funnel look like? What does that, you know, process look like? But, you know, if it means that they can focus more on delivery, and that sort of thing, then that's great, because we have another now separate, you know, sort of outreach advocacy concierge piece that can pick up some of that stuff. That's at least a couple years. So, you know, the update from Sophie is that, I guess the contract has been finalized with Mass CEC, and there is a MOU with Revise. I guess she said an MOU with Revise for a community first partnership. So maybe there's an MOU about how those two are going to interact that's been put together. And they also did receive, you know, some of our grant award for the community first partnership, which is what allowed the energy advocate to actually come on board. So again, when I don't get to go to the events, I don't always get all the scuttlebutt on what's happening. So I have to catch up each time. But yeah, so it sounds like, you know, with the community first partnership, again, we'll invite Hannah, that's their name, to the next event, to the next meeting. June 23rd, and introduce themselves and talk about what's going on and what the plans are, and any progress to this point.
Yeah.
So that is where those programs sit. Early stages for both, but exciting that both are now starting to get off the ground for sure. The EDIC Business Recognition Program is our next piece, and I know Cassie has a
I'm
quick
ready to
update.
share
Cassie's
my
going to share her
screen.
screen.
this one. And you have to let me.
I probably do. Okay, let's see. I don't know how I do that. Let's see. Oops, shut that down.
Post tools.
Business tools,
Is
okay.
there something like that?
Yeah, I think.
I may not have it. I probably don't have it.
Yeah, I know. I would have it here. I think I just gotta find where these things are. People there. Host controls.
There you go.
Here we go. Let contributors share their screen. Oh, it's not gonna let me do that. Oh, there we go. Fine. All right. So now you should be able to.
I've never done this on this app, so I'm going to share, as promised, 3 proposals for stickers.
All right.
Woo, woo. Okay. Cart, sticker mule, share. I do not recommend this vendor because when it's too cheap, it can't be good. There's that. Okay, I'm gonna close him out.
Okay.
At the high end,
You may need to share again.
oh,
It says you left the meeting.
fuck. Oh, excuse me.
I do have the transcript running, just so you know.
Thanks. Thanks for reminding me.
Edit it out in post.
We do that with photo bombers. We get these porno photo bombers that come to meetings.
Jeez.
All
All right, you have to try.
right, share.
You should be able to do it.
Okay. Then this is at the high end. Share.
There we go.
And this came in at $431. Just, yeah, there was also Vistaprint, which is
Yeah.
a good company,
Yeah.
but that was 900. So
Oh, wow.
I took that off the table. And then this is the one I think I'm going to recommend. It's $250.
Okay.
And I think it looks pretty decent. What do you guys think?
Which one? I don't think we can see it yet.
Oh.
I'm looking at the Ford imprint one. So you may need to just switch to sharing
to-
that tab.
Gosh, life is complicated.
There.
There. Oh, stop sharing.
Or just yeah, you can say stop.
This is it sharing?
It's not.
No. I just really don't like this app.
I can see the shopping cart in Burlington Bulldogs and $431 is what I.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
trying to
so
get
I'm
to a
gonna
different
stop
one.
sharing.
Yeah, just-
Oh, present something else.
There you go. Yeah, so-
This is the one I'm gonna recommend. Circle window cling, share. These are called window clinks,
I
just
see.
so you know.
Yeah.
And this is gonna come in at $251,
Okay.
which seems pretty cool for 100.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty decent on it, I
Mhm.
think. So that's that. Then also to share, since
Will it say Easthampton somewhere?
that's not in the logo that they designed.
Yeah. I thought, okay.
Should we
I
add
guess,
in
no.
Easthampton?
I guess if their businesses in Easthampton, they got them on their window, people will figure that out, but
So maybe we can insert it over business partner, Easthampton business partner.
yeah, I don't know.
What do you guys
Sure,
think?
copies.
I think you've made a good point, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the point. I don't know where you put it here though. That makes it easy.
Wish we could just say EHO.
Yeah, not my favorite.
No, but lazy old people, it's 2 syllables instead of what, 4? Eastham, no, that's
It's like
three.
3 syllables.
Three,
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't say it much. Yeah, I don't know. Business part, maybe under business partner. It could even under business partner. It could say like City of Easthampton or something like that.
I'll work it out with Sophie.
Okay.
She came up with this. I'm impressed she did that much. So, present something else because I was given instructions to shop. All right, for cultural chaos stickers. Here you go, guys.
All right.
Oh, I didn't share this tab instead.
There you go.
You know, I just looked at the graphic that I don't know. I don't know if I can share it. I looked at the graphic that I had gotten from Sophie that she started with for the Climate Outreach Initiative. That has Easthampton in the top of it.
Does it?
Yeah. I don't know how to.
I give up with this
I'm still trying
sharing
to share.
stuff.
What are you trying to
Well, I'm
share?
sharing stickers for
Right.
the, what's it called?
Right. Yeah.
I can put it in an email to you
They're not
guys.
bad, are they?
No.
So that's for cultural chaos
Okay.
handouts. I'm left-handed. I don't know if that matters.
Maybe. I am somewhat too, but.
All right. Amy,
Yeah, that's all right.
Cassie. Just sending you both an email with a copy of what I had from Sophie
Okay.
Great.
for the Eco Initiative.
Okay.
So here's some eco stickers. Cheap, pass out to kids at
Oh, yeah, it's cute.
Cultural chaos.
Cultural Chaos.
That works.
And then I am going to, I want it to,
We should put a 2 on it. ECO2.
ECO2.
what's that mean? Oh, I see.
Urban.
I get it. Haha.
Anyway,
And I found a lovely Bees tablecloth for the table.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty ugly, but it'll do the trick. Is it too ugly?
No.
Okay.
No, that should work.
It's of higher quality than I bought last year because it's vinyl, don't you know?
I see. Okay, so as far as like the cost of those or whatever.
$250. I
For
for the stickers.
for the claims.
I mean, for the claim.
Right, and the stickers and the tablecloth.
That's on me. I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
So I can stop sharing, at which I am a failure.
There we go.
And I included that in request in the draft memo to the mayor
Okay,
that I gave you about the whole program.
okay.
I too can speak.
All right, so we'll share that. And again, I don't know with Sophie and like the Energy Advocate now, like what kind of, budget they might have that we can use for those sorts of things. It's the climate action plan is certainly tied to both of their activities, even if it's completed before either of them were hired. So we'll see if maybe they have some discretionary.
It's not that,
budget for it's not that
it's
much,
really not that much money.
but if not, maybe some
We'll pass the hat or the commit.
slush fund / petty cash or something like that.
Yeah.
We can use for something.
are you talking about the 200 or some
Oh, no,
other?
the 250, yeah, talking about the one for the EDIC business
Yeah.
recognition program.
Yeah.
The other stuff Cassie said she's just gonna cover and.
It's
come out the
it's no
wash.
big deal.
That same subject came up at the the outreach initiative meetings that have been happening. Is they're struggling with the same thing, how to pay for stuff. And hopefully Sophie's going to go to mayor and her boss about that. You said you wrote a memo Cassie, about
Yeah,
requesting?
I wrote on Jamie's behalf to inform the mayor about the program because we've
Okay.
never really run it by her.
Mhm.
So,
Was there a money request included or no?
yes, $250 for the
Okay.
stickers.
We'll
And
see.
it basically assumes that she's going to approve it.
Yeah. But don't spend it till we get the approval, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Cause yeah, I don't know if they'll need to go and like, do the transaction themselves and get it shipped here or whatever, like probably not just gonna reimburse you for something.
No,
like that.
probably not.
So I don't know what the process is, but we'll learn as we go. So, I have, Cassie just sent me the thing today. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'll look it over and send it to the mayor's office and, see where we go from there. But exciting progress, and then we can start figuring out how to distribute them and get them out there to people.
Did you see the sticker? Did you see the copy of the sticker I just sent you an email with the Easthampton?
I did not.
Okay.
I'll take a look real quick.
I don't have a title on the email. It's just what last one you got from me. Both of you. I sent it both of you.
Okay, yeah.
In an email?
Yeah. Gmail email, yeah. Anyway, Bobby, Jamie can just show you what he's got in front of him.
Yeah, she can see it now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so climate outreach. So I think, trying to fit like Easthampton climate action plan in there is probably a little bit squished, but if you can figure out how to,
Where did
What's the source of this one?
I got it from Sophie. I think that was, I'm not sure if she printed those or not. She says she's got stickers now. Last I saw her at the Electrify the Hamptons meeting, she said she had stickers. So I'm pretty sure that's the one with possibly with a with a URL on it or something. But I think
That
that
would be too much to put in a window.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we can look at trying to get, Easthampton on there somehow for the window claims. I think that'd be
Yeah.
good. But while we're talking about the eco initiative, because that's kind of the next thing on here in terms of public outreach, she did mention that there's going to be the next meeting of that is going to be on the 28th. So next middle of next week, to discuss details for Cultural Chaos, which is another one of the public outreach events here. She mentioned she spoke to Pastor Molina and just confirmed that there is a 10 by 10 plot available for everything that's going to be going on, which is for the Bees Committee, the Girl Scout Pollinator Project, which is affiliated with that, and anything that we're going to be doing. So it's going to be just one, 10 by 10 space that we'll all be sharing. Sophie did ask if anyone has access to like one of those like 10 by 10 weighted tents. If anyone has one of the pop-up tent sort of thing. She did say it doesn't sound promising that I'll be able to get one from the planning department.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that fold-out table and chairs would also be helpful. I can potentially try to help provide a table, but I imagine other people might have table and chairs. I do not have a tent, but I may be able to ask around and borrow one. I also can't really be there, at least for the beginning part of Cultural Chaos, because I think I've got a soccer game at noon that day. So, we may have to investigate anyone we know who's got a tent that could be borrowed for that purpose for a little while.
I think the outreach committee, the eco outreach committee, is ultimately responsible for figuring that out. They're asking us and you and us in this meeting, but I don't know that unless they asked you, I don't know that you have to take that on as you're the last.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking if I knew somebody that had one, but yeah, no, you all can discuss in the committee. I would say that, if we're talking about like, relatively small purchases, you can get those things for, $100 at Home Depot or whatever. Like that might be also worth putting a quick requisition in if we're going to be doing more public outreach events. See if we can have one of our own. So we have to worry about planning.
Yeah.
Or at least it could be Sophie's, and DPW's for public events.
Right.
that might be worth looking into if we can get that approved.
I've got enough chairs, I think, I could loan. I'll let them know. I got
Okay.
chairs. Maybe I'd buy a tent and rent it back to the city at a low cost.
Yeah.
Anyway, but maybe I'll get one, but I'll talk with them.
All right, let us know after next week if there's, a need for additional assistance or you're trying to source something, track something down.
Yeah.
So, but that'll be good for cultural chaos. I mentioned the garden thing on June 7th. That's a little different. We talked about the May 6th event already. The other thing I just threw on here is that, something Parks and Rec is doing the following weekend is this 100th anniversary of Daly Field event, which is going to be out at Daly Field, which is kind of, by between the high school and Nonotuck Park there. And that's going to be a big event from like noon to 5 that day. Probably easier to grab some space there if we had any interest in trying to do something with that. It's not going to be as sort of broad as cultural chaos, but maybe that's even something like Revise or the Energy Advocate would want to be at as a way to reach out into the community, raise awareness. Again, it's going to be, that's before our next meeting though, so with only 3 of us here, I don't know, but maybe John, maybe you can bring that to the May 28th meeting.
I think they're aware of it.
Okay.
How did this get on the agenda? That was just you put it on?
That was just me putting it on because I saw it came across my.
I'll mention it. I think they were discussing it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So again, maybe for something for the advocate to focus on from that sort of public outreach standpoint. That's the one.
That's at Nonotuck, right?
It's at Nonotuck, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then we'll next time we all get together, hopefully all of us, we can sort of commiserate about these events, cultural chaos, that event if we do something, and figure out what other upcoming things we're going to be looking to do.
Okay.
So let's talk about aggregation for just a second. So we will be having a meeting here in about 20 minutes with Good Energy to look at what we expect costs to look like in the bid. So bid day is actually going to be on Wednesday. There's already drafts of what's called like electricity service agreements, ESAs, with each of the 3 companies. So those are like established language, contractual language. So that's something that won't need to be negotiated or dealt with during the actual process, because the goal is to get the bids come in, have them, have one selected, and to immediately get it signed off on. So it all needs to happen in pretty short order. So getting all the negotiated stuff out of the way ahead of time, other than the actual price, is kind of the key piece. So that we're going to talk about that today, make sure everything's good. Talk about what the expected pricing is based on what they're seeing in the marketplace right now. Then on Wednesday, we look and see what the actual numbers are, see how they compare to our expectations, and make a decision whether to move forward or not.
Mm-hmm.
So Wednesday is kind of a big day for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Thanks.
all goes well.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, at this point, it's a lot of Good Energy and, Lindsay and the mayor as well, helping to move all this stuff.
Will there be, I know they got to do some public education on this.
Yes.
Once we're going forward, will there be some kind of flyer that Good Energy can put together that briefly explains the program?
Yeah, there is all that already. They've already sent us a whole slew of things that are ready to go. So updates for the website, flyers to use. There will be a public sort of hearing, public event. It's late June, early July, assuming we go forward with contracts. We haven't picked a date for that yet, but that's coming.
Okay.
So once that'll be the next piece for starting to look at like when things are available, because we do want to have probably the second floor conference room available for like a big. Again, whether we get a ton of people or not remains to be seen, but at least have the option for a lot of people. And that's part of the city and committee requirements is getting all that word out, starting to spread the word. And I think I forget if it would be July 1 or maybe a little bit later. Probably not quite July 1 for implementation, but because originally we were going to do the bids in March and it's been pushed a little bit. So we're probably looking at like August or something like that before everything becomes fully activated.
Okay.
But more updates on that by the middle of the week. Other than that, we got a few holdover items here on school bus electrification. John, I know you said,
No, put it in mothballs. Nothing new gonna change that I can see on the horizon, especially with the administration in Washington, that's gonna change that picture much. Once in a while, I can once in a while take a gander into the the PR websites and advocacy websites to see if there's anything new that's changing the picture, but doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's kind of a vestigial tale on the agenda at this point. As it's sort of this community solar partnership with Sunwealth, which again could be activated at some point, but our focus has just been on so many other things. It's just not a priority right now. But as these other public outreach and advocacy things get going, that might be again something we could look at tacking on to that. It's really only applicable to a relatively small part of the population here. So while it's a cool thing to be able to offer, it just hasn't quite gotten to the point of us taking much action on it yet. So.
What's the small part of the population? You just talk about low income.
Well, yeah, because they only focus on like low income and environmental justice communities.
Yeah. So, do we know that that's such a small part? I thought we might be as much as a third or something.
Well, maybe it's true. I shouldn't undersell it. Maybe.
Yeah. I think also maybe the Energy Advocate can get involved in that because they're supposed to be doing outreach to those communities anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? It's something that has to be done by somebody that's really not us. I mean, they need, the mayor kind of needs to sign off on it, and they would do their own part, like putting a mailer together and all that. Yeah. But if there's other outreach stuff we want to all put together, they need to interact with somebody who's like, oh yeah, and I also want to mention, Mass Save and our Community First Partnership or this, the Electrify program, because we want to get all that stuff out there in one flyer, one mailer to people. So. Right. Yeah, so that would be a good spot for all that to happen. So we'll continue to discuss that when we get hopefully everybody back for the next meeting. But that concludes our kind of current whirlwind tour through existing initiatives and things going on. Does anybody have anything else new?
No, just one thing I'll say is that I don't know, since the what do we call it? Eco Outreach. I forget. Is that an acronym? I can't even remember. Easthampton Community Outreach, right?
Community Outreach, yeah.
Thing has turned into a thing and is meeting regularly. A lot of it is the current stuff. There's two characteristics to me. I mean, there's a lot of good thinking and energy going on and whatever, but there's two characteristics that I'm seeing. One is that it's kind of ad hoc and that it's, we're latching on to whatever events happen to be happening. And most or a lot of them have to be, to me, in my view, are really in the domain of the Bees Committee. I mean, we're talking about composting, about water, rain barrel distribution, garden stuff, and whatever. And we're not getting a lot for this end of the sustainability, climate end of the spectrum in terms of education promotion. So that's eventually got to come out. I've been working on. I'll share with you a rough representation of what a storyboard might look like.
We were supposed to do that. I forgot we were supposed to do that at this meeting.
Did I don't know if I sent it. Did I send it to you already?
You did send it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that I even sent it. Well, anyway, just for if people could dedicate some time either in the meeting or outside the meeting to look it over and say, these elements are irrelevant, or we're forgetting something, or this is too long, or whatever. I'm just picturing putting these photos and themes and summaries on sheets of paper that go on a storyboard, and they're easy for people to visually kind of understand what the climate action plan and our decarbonization roadmap's about. And it may be impossible to do that. I don't know, but Sophie's going to work with me on it.
Okay.
I think she's busy, and I think that was our province. That was the province of this committee, was the climate action plan. And if we want people to understand it and we're the ones that are going to say, this is how to explain it to people. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
so next time, maybe for next time, people can look at that. I'm going to keep working on it with Sophie.
Okay.
Okay. And then also the idea, I think it was brought up before, of a, elevator pitches. Have you heard that brought up before? In the other group,
Yeah.
Sean had talked about, they're trying to develop elevator pitches on sustainability stuff and Bees committee stuff. And yeah, because the storyboard might attract people who are already interested if they have time to look it over and ask questions at a table or in a meeting or something. But there's also some way to get the gist of what we're trying to do and what we want from people in a 1 minute, elevator pitch, whether it's in an elevator, it's on the street, or it's knocking on their door. So that's another one to work on. And this doesn't have to be just one. We can have, 3, depending on, what your angle is, what you think the person you're talking to might be interested in. But so that's the other goal eventually, is to work on that. But okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just noting from the last time too that another upcoming event that Connie had talked about was the Arcadia Folk Festival.
Yeah.
And maybe trying to,
Yeah.
excuse me, have a presence there.
Yeah.
So again, as we've got more outreach and advocacy to focus on, those types of events are good.
Well, just one more thing about what I was saying is that I'm shooting for the fall to have something ready. Not this summer, not now. It's a big project to get a storyboard type presentation that'll look really good. I'm thinking of, I don't know if you've been to the cultural chaos table when the planning board presents different projects that they're doing in town, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Sophie and I were in the committee, this outreach committee was talking about specifically climate action, overall strategy, content presentation for sometime in September. So there's time to work on it, as long as we do work on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think, as you said, Bees is, doing a lot of public outreach stuff there. They're focusing on like some of these small events that are about building community and that sort of thing. And theirs is more conducive to sort of like a bit of an ongoing thing versus ours, which is more just like, information dissemination. I mean, they're always going to have, need for invasives removal and like, gardening things and like, things that can be shared and whatever. And it's a little less for us, right? It's not like you can get, I don't know, we're not going to get like a bunch of heat pump enthusiasts together like for regular meetings or whatever. But there's
You never know. You never know.
But again, but putting together our own events, something that engages the community or that builds off of something else that is really focused on our stuff and the climate plan, I think is a good thing overall.
Yeah.
And I'm making a note for myself too that I need to look for the next city council meeting at some point and go tell them about all the stuff we have going on. I'm still behind on that, and it's just a tough time of year for me. So,
you want a motion to adjourn?
I think we got a motion to adjourn. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.